Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another drink. This week, our featured drink is the Shivery Santa-gria. I'm going to start with a pitcher. Nice Halloween colors. To that, we're going to add 1 bottle red wine. Next, a half a cup spiced apple cider, which I just happen to have right here. Half a cup. Next, half a cup sparkling cider. Next, half a cup vodka. Looks like I need more vodka. Finally, a half a cup cranberry juice. Then we're going to add some cranberries. Some rosemary. And some apple slices to make it healthy. And there you have it, boys and girls, the Shivery Santa-gria. Recipe also says oranges for garnish. I didn't have any oranges, so just apples, and cranberries, and rosemaries. All right, we're going to let that sit, and we'll come back and give it a try. Okay, boys and girls, I've let it sit for a while, a few hours now. Let's see how we did. I think I want an apple. Shivery Santa-gria. Not bad. A lot of wine. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. See ya.
So there are good gift givers and there are great gift givers. And this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, Santa's Sleigh, is the result of great gift giving. Greg's nephew Sam and his nieces Julia and Sadie, with I'm guessing maybe a little parental advice, gave Greg a very thoughtful Christmas present. They not only picked the movie for him to do on the podcast, but also a drink to go with it. In fact, the movie and the drink were so good, we couldn't wait until December to do it, so we decided to have Christmas in July. How much fun is that? Now, I'm not saying I'm jealous or anything, but I am going to say that the Hudson nieces and nephews really need to step it up. In a big way. So a huge shout out to Sam, Julia, and Sadie. Cheers and Merry Christmas in July.
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Greg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast, a podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm feeling festive. How are you, Greg?
Are you now? I'm okay.
Well, wait, can't you hear that?
No, Karen, I can't.
You can't hear the sleigh bells?
No, Karen, I cannot.
See, just goes to show you are a curmudgeon.
All right, I believe this film was my choice.
Well, it was your slot, so you filled it.
This was my slot. This is kind of a listener request in a way.
It's very sweet. Why don't you tell everyone why you chose this movie? Well, why don't you tell them what the movie is and then why you chose it?
Okay, the film that we have chosen, or was chosen for me, was Santa's Sleigh from 2005. My nieces and nephew last Christmas sent me printed this page out and had the Scary Spirits logo on it, and it had this movie on it, and it also had a recipe for a drink, as well as one of those infused beverages where all the ingredients are in it and you just add the liquor. So
your nieces and nephew,
yes.
More likely I would guess their mom, but I'm guessing because I don't know them, think enough about getting you a present that they know what you like, they know what you do, and they put it all together.
Yeah, they give me the best gifts every year, Karen.
I mean, it's amazing. That's a very thoughtful gift.
Well, I'm their favorite uncle.
Well, no doubt.
So, yeah, Sam, Julia, and Sadie are my nephew and nieces, and they picked this film, as well as the Shivery Santa-gria cocktail.
So basically, we're doing Christmas in July.
Yes.
Awesome.
Because I didn't want to wait till Christmas to do the film, really.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So explain the drink again. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
The Shivery Santa-gria.
Okay, how do you make that?
We're going to need a bottle of red wine, Karen, a half a cup spiced apple cider, a half cup sparkling cider, 1/2 cup vodka, 1/2 cup cranberry juice, and then we garnish or throw in the pitcher oranges, apples, cranberries, and rosemary.
Which sounds amazing. But since I just looked up the recipe today, an hour before we were coming on, I have a glass of red wine.
Well, it's not much different. I mean, it's very wine forward, as you would assume, because it's got a whole freaking bottle of red wine in it, Karen.
Did you find spiced apple cider
I did.
Or did you use the infusion drink that they?
No.
You did find it?
Mm-hmm. I found, actually, it was a powdered spiced apple cider. You add
Oh,
water, and so it's like a
nice.
tastes good. The
I'm sure
cider
it
does because
does.
I finished it because I only need half a cup of it.
Is it supposed to be warm? Like you,
I don't think so.
huh.
Basically, you put all that stuff in a pitcher, and there you go.
Don't you have to let it sit for a while, right?
Yeah, I let mine sit for a couple hours.
So you have a whole picture of it?
I do, Karen.
Awesome. You should have invited me over. We should have had done this one together.
And also, boys and girls, since this film was picked for us by a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 16-year-old, I will not be cursing. This is a very special episode of the Scary Spirits podcast. And
I'll
if I
try
do
not to.
curse, I'll cut it out. So there you go.
Might be very short.
Should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own Shivery Santa-gria?
Yeah, I hope. Well, it's going to take a couple hours
Yeah.
before they come back, but that's okay.
Hit pause. We'll still be here.
Yeah, we will. That's the truth.
All right, hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Karen, might you have a brief synopsis for us of Santa's sleigh?
I do. It's very brief.
Go on. Tell us all the story about the C word.
After a millennium of spreading Christmas cheer, Santa Claus reverts to his demonic self and gives the gift of fear. I wonder why they chose this for you. Interesting.
Thank you, Karen. We are a match. I know if you read that synopsis, that sounds like
That screams Uncle Greg. I don't know,
yeah, it didn't even talk about him being the son of Satan either in the synopsis. Well, whatever.
Well, they got to save something. Some surprises.
All right, Karen, tell me everything you really enjoyed in this film chosen by my nephew and nieces.
Yeah, no pressure. Actually, I didn't hate it. There's some funny jokes in it. The acting's not terrible. It's campy, but I think it's supposed to be. There's some good kills, some interesting kills in it. Santa's jacked, if you like that kind of thing.
He's played by the wrestler Goldberg.
Oh, well, that makes sense. There seem to be some wrestling moves in there. I think he did some of his own stunts then.
Maybe.
It's what you think it's going to be. Is it great? No, but I guess maybe I'm juvenile or I just have that sense of humor. But a lot of the jokes were kind of funny, the way they worked in Christmas Carol lyrics once in a while, or the grandpa had some good. It's okay. It's good for what it is. It's not a cinematic masterpiece, but that's not what you expect going in. It exceeded my expectations. I'll say that.
Okay.
What did you like?
Well, this was, I believe, a direct-to-video thing, so
That's not surprising.
Not surprising. So you kind of know what to expect, right? I agree. I didn't hate it. I wasn't mad after the hour and 17 minutes.
Yeah, it's easy to watch.
It's short.
It's a little.
There are funny parts. It's very, there's fart jokes and
There's cleverness in
it's
it
very
too.
juvenile
Yes.
jokes. But it's not a film for children, is it, Karen?
I would say there are parts that are not. I think there's some pretty graphic kills in it.
There are.
They don't really show a lot though, but what actually happens is pretty gruesome.
I did like how most of the kills are involve, holiday themed
Yes.
stuff, either he's getting stabbed with a candy cane or strangled with garland or Christmas lights or
There's
whatever.
a lot of red and green in it, like front doors are green or red. There's a lot of small touches that are interesting.
Yeah, it was all right, I guess. I don't know what to expect, I guess. I knew it was a horror comedy, so that's kind of what I expected it. So it is. It's a horror comedy, more a comedy than a horror. I think, but
Nah.
it was I.
I'd never heard of it before. Had
I
you?
hadn't either. No, we do see lots of bare breasts in it, Karen. That was enjoyable.
I thought you might like that part.
Anything you didn't like about it?
It's a little random. I mean, he doesn't seem, I know he's a demon, but why kill the Jewish guy? He never, he's not even celebrating Christmas. Or it does seem, at first, I thought he was going after people who you would think, not that anyone deserves it, but in movie land, people who deserved a comeuppance, but then all of a sudden he just started killing anybody. And I didn't really follow that. The story kind of unwound and then wound back together. Like it does come full circle and we find out some things at the end and all of that. It's not really a twist, it's more information, but it almost like loses its path to me because there's just randomness. And then ta-da, the ending, which it's a slasher. So they kind of do tend to do that a little bit, but usually there's a purpose as to why certain people are getting mutilated versus other people not. And this seemed kind of willy-nilly with who got the axe.
Well, I mean, it's what he says. He just a day of killing. He doesn't care who he kills. He's just going to kill everybody.
I know, I understand, but at the beginning, it kind of made it look like
It did.
We were going to go after people who, again, no one deserves it, but people who deserve it more than other people.
Wicked.
Yeah, wicked or not evil, but arrogant, or I don't know.
Just bad people.
Yeah. And that's what adds to the story. There are a few little story bits of why people could be killed, but then other people are just killed for existing. Yeah. I like the little buffalo. I didn't say the little buffalo reindeer thing. That was pretty cool. I couldn't figure out what it was, but
it's called a hell deer.
Yeah. Never heard of that before. So
I pretty much agree with everything you said. Some of the jokes are just too juvenile. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, the fart joke I don't like it. But again, it goes back to I always think of the Arnold Schwarzenegger one.
Well, I didn't even think that was funny either. I'm just putting it out
there. No, but I'm saying like where he says he had to split and they sawed him in half. There were a couple of those kind of jokes in there. And then a couple of, but I liked when they worked in the Christmas Carol lines. And in the very beginning sequence, there's a bunch of famous people before the credits roll that get killed. And James Caan, I think, is one of them. And he was in Elf. So I don't know if that was earlier or later. I think it was earlier, wasn't it? Elf. But if it was, that's a kind of funny thing to do. Put him in there.
Elf is earlier than this.
So, it's a brief cameo. I don't even think he's credited. And a lot of the people in that first scene, they're listed as stars of the film. And they're in it for 2 minutes or something?
Mm-hmm.
Either this guy had a lot of friends or he paid them a lot of money. I don't know which.
Well, I know at least the girl at the table, who I guess is like Chris Katan's wife or something. I don't know.
No, I don't know. It's Fran Drescher is one. James Caan is there. Rebecca Gayheart is there.
Her. Rebecca Gayheart. She
and
used
Chris
to
Kattan.
date. She actually dated for a long time the guy who produced this.
Oh, well, that would make sense.
So that's how I did it. I recognized her, but I feel like she looks like somebody else though that I would know. You know what I mean? So I looked up her credits and I hadn't seen any of that.
Oh, her husband's Eric Dane.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know who the hell that is either.
That's McSteamy from Grey's Anatomy, I think.
Okay. Never watched it.
But they're not huge names, but they're pretty well-known people in the scene.
I don't know, man. James Caan, Chris Kattan, Fran Drescher. Pretty good.
And they look like they're having fun doing it.
Yep.
It probably took them a day. Fran got to have some special effects where her hair was all burned off.
All right. Anything else?
No, like we said, I can't really fault it for what it is because that's what it is. I thought it was kind of clever. It was easy to watch. Would I look it up again? I don't know. But if it was on, I might watch it. At least they had, I will say, they had an interesting story to follow. A little bit like the Princess Bride with the grandpa reading the story to the grandson, but there's something there to grasp onto that's not just Santa comes down the chimney and murders everyone. There's a reason. They came up with something. They made up a whole folklore thing to kind of follow. I like the effort and I like the story. I wish they would have told us a little bit more. I always like to hear, I would have, make more up and tell me more about that. But I dig the big books like that where you turn the pages. Ooh, treasure.
All right, Karen, before we give our cocktail rating, would you like to hear a review from the time?
I'm going to guess the reviews from the Times were split on this one. Were they split or are they all
I don't know. I only
you only
printed up
found
one.
Roger Ebert's?
No.
Oh.
He was gone, I think.
Okay.
Or if he wasn't, he didn't waste his time with this. Because it was never in the theater, right?
That's true. I forgot. Yeah, you're right.
So before I give the review, this has a 5.3 out of 10 on IMDb,
See, it's a split.
a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think Google users think, Karen?
78.
Wow. 87. You just had it backwards. You just had the numbers reversed, Karen.
87%.
87%.
That's pretty
Google
high. I don't think I wouldn't have guessed that high. I was thinking 82, but I was like, no. I think you either like this movie or you turn it off.
Probably. So the review I have is from Real Film Reviews.
Ooh, so it's a real film.
Yeah. Real, REEL.
Oh,
real.
Gotcha.
From January the 6th, 2006. And I'll read the whole thing more or less. Even if Santa's Sleigh was a terrible movie, which it isn't, not really, it'd still be worth a look for its opening sequence in which an evil Santa Claus systematically murders a squabbling upper crust family consisting of, among others, James Caan, Fran Drescher, and Chris Kattan. And though the rest of the film doesn't quite live up to that brilliant introduction, writer-director David Steinman does an effective job of infusing the proceedings with an appropriately lighthearted sensibility, ensuring that the movie never takes itself too seriously. As we eventually learn, Santa Claus, Satan's son, is forced into spreading cheer and goodwill for 1,000 years after losing a curling match to one of God's angels. The film, which takes place immediately following the 1,000 years, follows Santa Claus as he arrives in the small town of Hell. Yep, Hell, to wreak havoc on Christmas. Of particular interest to old Santa is young Nicholas Yulson and his eccentric grandfather, for reasons that are revealed in the film's final act. Writer-director David Steinman has clearly been influenced by Gremlins, judging by the darker tone, blacker-than-black humor, and the fact that one of his characters is an inventor. And though it goes without saying that Gremlins remains the superior film, Santa's Sleigh comes off as a surprisingly adept horror comedy. It is, not surprisingly, more comedic than horrific. Goldberg, who plays Santa, delivers an appropriately tongue-in-cheek performance, imbuing his Santa Claus with a nice balance of malevolence and sleaziness. But somewhere around the 1 hour mark, the film begins to run out of steam and essentially transforms into one long chase sequence as Santa amps up his pursuit of Nicholas and his would-be girlfriend. Having said that, the conventional finale doesn't negatively impact the film to such an extent that it's not worth seeing. With its brisk pace and off-kilter sense of humor, Santa's Sleigh is a worthy addition to the Christmas horror subgenre, and is surely an improvement over certain other killer Santa-themed flicks, such as Silent Night, Deadly Night. All right, Karen, what kind of cocktail rating do you want to give this film?
I would give it a 4.
I would agree.
But it's a fun 4.
Yeah, like we said, Didn't hate it. It was fine. All right.
It's a good horror comedy.
Yeah, I guess as horror comedies go, it's pretty good.
In its genre, it shines.
Well, I mean, it's
Sleigh bells.
no, I can't think of it. I don't know.
Oh, there are definitely
Ready or
better
Not.
ones.
It's no Ready or Not, which I thought was a horror comedy.
True. It
It's
is a
funny.
horror comedy,
Okay.
yeah. But that's, yes, much better. But most of these are, well, that one's kind of slasher too. But this is like a teen slasher film, I would say. I would say that Ready or Not is a little more sophisticated.
I agree. All right, Karen, are you ready to get into the film scene by scene?
Yep, let's go.
All right, Santa's Sleigh from 2005,
Picked by,
chosen for us by Samuel, Julia, and Sadie,
oh, okay, let's go.
my wonderful nephew and nieces. Rated R, Karen. I had no other warnings. Did you watch this on Amazon Prime?
I did, and I was surprised there were no other warnings.
I know. All right, so film opens and we have Joy to the World being played, Karen.
Yes, and did you know that Joy to the World is not a Christmas song?
I did not know that, Karen.
Well, it wasn't originally written to be a Christmas carol. The lyrics do not reflect the virgin birth of Jesus, but rather Christ's second coming.
Mm.
Stanza 3, an interlude that alludes to Genesis 3:17 to 19, rather than to the psalm text, speaks of Christ's blessings extending victoriously over the realm of sin. So it's not a Christmas song, or wasn't intended to be. I know it is used as one now, but I was surprised by that.
And apparently have the Mason family having Christmas dinner.
And you can tell from their decorations in their house that they are well off.
And I wrote lots of famous people. And they thank God for not making them poor when they pray.
And they banter back and forth. They're not happily married. The kids are snots. You can tell they're just the epitome of ungrateful, I guess,
They
for
talk
everything.
about like famous purses or famous makers and whatever. Then Santa busts through the chimney and he stabs James Caan with forks in both hands.
So he can't lift his hands from the wife, who is Fran Drescher, seems happy to see him for a skinny second.
But she gets her hair caught on fire.
Well, he drowns her in eggnog.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, what a waste of eggnog.
Kicks Chris Kattan into a china cabinet. And then he takes a star from the Christmas tree and throws it at one of the girls as she's running away.
Like a Chinese star. What do they, is that have a name?
Throwing star.
Throwing star.
Then he shoves a turkey leg into James Caan's mouth and slams him down on the table. They all gone.
Yeah, and he was complaining about the turkey, which is why I thought he shoved the turkey leg in his mouth. And it's like, oh, okay, these are people who are ungrateful, are going to be killed in this movie. This is what I thought it set it up to be.
Then we have credits. And there's some kind of ancient script or language on a book or something, it looks like, during the credits, Karen.
Well, the old book that explains the origin of Santa Claus is written in Icelandic. Some believe that parts of the Santa mythos are taken from Norse legends. So it is Icelandic.
And then we have words to read. Hell Township, Christmas Eve.
Well, wait, so it tells the story, kind of shows the story in cartoon of what's about to happen. And then it shows that Santa basically loses a curling match. You can watch it. You can't read any of it because, well, unless you can read ancient Icelandic, then you could.
There is intermixed in English too.
A little.
Like written and directed by.
Yes, kind of the credits are rolling, but you see the curling stones and then you see Santa get a hourglass with sand going through it. And it shows over time that, 1065, 1245, the years keep going over and over. So that gets closer and closer. Yes. And then where are we?
Hell Township, Christmas Eve.
Okay. So there is somewhere named Hell in the United States.
Michigan.
You're right. It is Michigan. There's a Hell, California, but it's a demolished ghost town. And there is a Hell, Norway, in case anyone was wondering. They wanted to do a world tour.
Of hell.
Yes, of hell towns.
Okay. And we cut to a deli, and there's a woman ordering a roast beef sandwich, smoking a Marlboro.
Yes, she's pleasant. She's being what we would now call a Karen, probably, to the poor kid in the deli.
She's a foul mouth Karen, too.
Yeah, she is. She's not happy. She wants the sandwich. She wants to know what's in the holiday sandwich. He tells her, she didn't hear him. So then he starts making up shit like there's gummy bears and Cheerios. She gets all mad. And then she tells the kid, you're just as bad as your grandfather. You have no Christmas spirit. But then the owner of the deli comes in and starts being nice to her. She doesn't deserve it, but he is. And then he does wish her happy holidays on her way out because he's Jewish. You can tell by the decorations around that he's Jewish. She gets very upset that he didn't say Merry Christmas to her.
So she leaves, and we see her driving her car, and Santa Claus is behind her in his sleigh.
And she's chain smoking one Marlboro right after another.
Yeah.
With the little push button in the car. She's got an older car.
Yeah. And she's kind of hogging the road, and he's trying to get her to get out of the way. And I think she flips him off or something. And so then he rear ends her, sending her car flying over a snow ramp, Karen. Lots of snow ramps in this film, too.
Yeah. So again, she kind of deserved it. She was being awful. And so he was done with her. We don't see anything except the car go over the bank, but we know she's gone.
Yeah, we see it in flames.
Yeah.
As Santa Bride's passed. Then we see Mr. Green, who is the man at the deli, owns the deli, giving his workers Christmas gifts. And they leave. I guess it's Nicholas and Mary.
Yeah, so he gives
kids working there.
He gives Mary a snow globe, and he gives Nicholas a clock that tells time all over the world. Kind of seems like maybe he pulled these out of his garage. I don't know. But you want to guess and when you think when they think the first snow globe was invented?
I think we covered this.
I think we have two, but we're doing it again.
I don't remember.
1878. It was seen at the Paris Exposition and reported in the U.S. Commissioner's report of the expo, paperweights of hollow balls filled with water containing a man with an umbrella. Snow globes were invented by mistake. Mr. Percy invented the snow globe in Vienna at the very start of the 20th century. He was inspired by the shoemakers of the time who to get more light from a candle mounted on a glass globe filled with water in front of the flame. So they put water in front of the flame. This gave them like a spotlight the size of a hand. And this was the principle that he was using. He wanted to recreate it in front of a light bulb, but found it didn't work very well. And then he just found a white powder, semolina, used for baby food. And he poured it into the glass globe, and it got soaked by the water and floated very slowly to the base of the globe. And that reminded them of snow. So that was the basic reason. It was invented by mistake, but the Perseys who invented them still make them. So out of glass, the original glass snow globes, not the plastic ones, the finer snow globes.
And we learn as they're driving home, Mary and Nicholas, that Nicholas isn't a fan of Christmas. And then Nicholas arrives at home. He unlocks all the locks and then locks them all back and turns the alarm off. And
yeah, there's a lot of deadbolts on that door.
Then he's in the kitchen and the lights go out. So he grabs a flashlight and starts heading to the basement.
Looking for his grandpa, calling out to his grandpa.
So he's going to the fuse box, but he's still calling for his grandpa. But then his grandpa startles him. Then grandpa shows Nicholas the Christmas bunker that he's been constructing.
And we do find out that from Nicholas that everyone in town thinks his grandpa's crazy. I don't know if it's right here, but it's close to this time because he says everyone thinks his grandpa's crazy. And then his grandpa takes him. His grandpa's an inventor. He's got all these different inventions in the basement. And now he said a light went out in the bunker. And Nicholas is like, what do you mean the bunker? So he shows him the bunker and he says, Grandpa, everybody thinks you're crazy. Now I might think you're crazy too.
Then we cut to a guy trying to rob Santa,
The Salvation Army Santa,
but it's Santa.
but it's Santa.
Yeah. And Santa shoves a candy cane in the guy's eye and throws him into a trash dumpster.
Yeah, candy cane. You know how you can lick those candy canes to a fine point,
Yes.
and it goes right in the eyeball. And you see, they're not great special effects, but they're not terrible.
No, not bad. Cut back to the bunker, and Grandpa pulls a book from a safe. I guess this is in the house, not the bunker.
I think it's his room.
Yeah, and that's
Which
called the Book of Claws.
Nick didn't even know there was a safe in his grandpa's. I think it comes up from the floor or something. Yep.
And he starts reading from the book, and we learn that Santa was a virgin birth from Satan, and Christmas was originally the day of slaying
for Santa.
Then the doorbell rings.
Well, we do find out here what's a sort of important is that the grandpa starts reading in Norse, I think they said. And then
Norwegian, I think he's right there.
The kid says English.
Or maybe it's Norse.
I think he says Norse. And Nicholas says in English. And the grandpa says, you should practice your Norse. Like you are going to lose it if you don't practice it. And he does use that later. So
hello, boys and girls. You know, doing a podcast can be thirsty work. Lucky for you, we have all our drink recipes on our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want to see how each drink is made, hit up our YouTube channel, Scary Spirits Podcast, and watch me play bartender. I show you how to make every themed drink. Now, back to the show.
Doorbell rings. It's Mary. She brings Grandpa a plate of Wolverine.
Her dad shot it and it looks horrible.
And she gives Nicholas a gun, but apparently it's a transformer or something. I guess he said he always wanted one and never got one for Christmas.
He does say he wanted, or he said, he tells Mary, I wanted Transformers and I got an easy bake oven. And there's a joke that comes around later. So
I missed that.
Yeah. He says that's why he doesn't like Christmas. He never got what he wanted or whatever.
And we cut to church, passing the plate for the needy, Aaron.
Well, he's saying the pastor is saying he needs bills, not coins, bills, which is important later. But he looked familiar. Do you know who he was?
He used to be on SCTV.
Okay.
Dave Thomas. He was part of the guys with the toques, you know.
I never watched it. I just know he looks familiar to me.
Kick off, eh, hoser?
Oh, that. Okay.
He was one of those guys. Then the pastor arrives at a strip club. Aaron.
After calling his wife and saying choir practice is going late.
Santa arrives. He has the valet park his sled.
See, I thought that was kind of funny.
Bouncer doesn't let Santa in, but he strangles him with garland. He takes garland from the door or something and strangles him with it.
And the preacher does bribe the doorman. And the doorman says it's Christmas Eve. You'll get lots of attention because no one's in there. But yeah, he's choked with, garland. I said a wreath, but yeah, it is garland.
And apparently it's a topless strip club, Karen.
I think it's just a topless. Well, it's a topless bar for sure.
But there's strippers and topless women walking around. And Santa comes in and he kisses one of the waitresses.
Because he's under the mistletoe.
He's under the mistletoe.
I said, I bet the pastor's spending that collection plate money.
Another bouncer tries to stop Santa, but he wraps Christmas lights around his neck. And there's a bar fight. Santa kills one guy with a pickaxe and he electrocutes another with a stripper pole.
After he sanitizes it.
Yes, he does.
So that was kind of funny.
That was kind of funny. And then he takes a lump of coal out of his pocket, ignites it, and throws it into the strip club, catching the place on fire. And I said, we see about 5 or 6 pairs of bare breasts in that scene.
Yeah. I thought that was a unique, cool thing. He pulled out a piece of black coal, set it on fire, and started a fire. I thought that's
I did too. I thought, well, that's clever.
Yeah.
I did too. So then Santa leaves, And apparently his hell deer ate the valet.
He burps up half the hat.
Then we see Mary and Nicholas watching TV. And I'm thinking right here, are these two a couple? I couldn't tell. Are they?
I think they're on the verge
I had the
of
feeling like
becoming
he
one.
wanted to be a couple, but maybe, I don't know, he was striking out or something. I don't know. But then Grandpa goes to bed.
Yeah, and he says if he doesn't get his beauty sleep, he'll end up looking like one of them. I thought that was fun. I was like, that's a good one, Grandpa. But they're watching like a smash 'em up derby. Remember when those used to be on TV? People would just drive cars and run into each other.
I didn't even notice what they were watching.
Yeah, that's what they were watching.
And then I said Mary and Nicholas have a tiff. I guess Nicholas calls her father odd. They have this thing about your grandfather's crazy. Well, your father is odd. Blah blah blah. You gun of the month
Yeah,
club.
because it's one of those things where it's like I can call my family crazy, but you can't call my family crazy.
No.
Right. And that's how they get in a little tiff over that. She can call her dad odd, but he can't call her dad odd. And he's talking about, which is important a little later too, that all her dad does is shoot stuff and mount it on the walls. So I guess their whole house is mounted with heads of everything, including endangered species. He just kills everything.
So she leaves. She says something. Well, you have my number. Call me if you ever want to have a mature relationship.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before, Karen.
And I've never said it.
Well, not to me, anyway.
Well, no.
So then we see Grandpa in his bunker, and Nicholas is upstairs, and he continues to read the Book of Claws.
So he's reading the Icelandic or the Norse or whatever it is. Then we get like a cartoon flashback.
Yeah, then we have flashback, and it's stop motion animation, which I thought, well, that was kind of cool too, because it takes you back to like the Rankin Bass Christmas specials.
I think this dude is our age.
You think? I don't know. But apparently the angel took the form of an old man. The angel challenged Santa to a competition.
Yeah, it's like the devil went down to Georgia.
In a way, except they're curling.
Yes, they're curling.
These are Norse, I guess. And they see who can slide a curling stone closer to the hole in the ice without it going in.
So Santa is overconfident because he's a demon and he thinks that this old man is immortal.
Yeah.
So he thinks he can beat any mortal. He doesn't know that it's an angel.
So Santa went first.
And Santa was beating up on the elves when they're ice fishing. He's being a jerk to the little elves that were with him, which I thought was kind of funny. For him. Yeah, which was weird because he was being mean to them and then they cheer for him, but then they also end up working for him. That's a nice tie-in with where the elves come from and stuff.
And then the angel slid his stone and knocked Santa's stone into the hole in the ice. Thus, Santa would have to deliver a day of joy for the next 1,000 years on Christmas.
Yes, and if the angel had lost, he would have an eternity of suffering and pain. So they're high stakes.
Mm-hmm. So then we cut to Nicholas tracking Santa on the gonad. Again,
it took me a
juvenile joke, but it's funny.
I know, but I took me
you don't even notice it.
That's not what it's. Wait a minute. It took me like something's not right.
Yeah.
There is because NORAD, but go, right. And I was like, it went click, 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 click. Oh, gotcha.
And then we have words to read, Karen, Christmas Day.
Well, first he says, is this real? And because you can chat with the gonad people. And they said, well, first, how old are you? Before they could say whether it was real or not. And he finds out it's not.
He says he's 16.
Well, he says, I'm 16. And they say, no, this isn't real. And neither is Santa.
He looks older than 16. I'm sure he is. But anyway, Christmas Day. Santa, I thought this was funny too. I laughed. Santa tears through a manger scene and decapitates Joseph.
Right in front of an older couple. But again, he doesn't kill them.
No.
So I thought, again, he's
just vandalism. He's just vandalizing the manger.
But he's only killing people who have
so far are bad.
Yes. But But that was pretty funny. It's not people in the manger playing the characters.
No.
It's a statue like
Yeah, a
thing of
dummy.
Joseph.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they on purpose. It's just a scene with not real people. Because sometimes manger scenes have real people, but this one did not.
Scene. This was not a live manger scene. So then we cut to kids opening presents, and they're little brats too.
They're sweary.
They are.
I'm sure that your nieces and nephew are not sweary at all. And this would not happen to them on Christmas morning.
Absolutely not. Then the presents explode and their heads explode, I guess. Because their heads are gone.
Their heads are gone.
Smoking.
And I shouldn't have laughed, but I did kind of laugh. Because grandma then swears. Because first she's appalled at how much the kids are swearing, and then the kids' heads are blown off, and then she swears. Yeah. So it's kind of funny.
Then we cut to the pastor at church, and he's praying for the victims of the strip club from the previous night.
Yes, and he names them.
He starts naming them, which is kind of funny too. It's juvenile jokes, but
well, and he says that it was a house of heathens, but they deserve our condolences and to pray for their salvation. And he starts reading off their stripper names. And then we're back at the deli.
Yep, Santa at the deli, trying to get in. Mr. Green tells him that it's closed. It's Christmas.
But
tells
Santa
him to go
doesn't
across
give
the street
to the Chinese place. Yeah.
So then Santa busts in, kills Mr. Green with a menorah.
Yeah, sticks him to the wall through his throat again. And I thought, well, why is he killing him?
Yeah, this is the first person he's killed that didn't have a reason, really.
Except that the kids happen to work there. But
yeah. And he eats. And then as he's leaving, he sees a picture of Nicholas and his grandpa with Mr. Green.
Up in the deli.
Which I didn't really, at this point, you don't know. Like, well, why is he interested in Nicholas and his grandpa? But we find out later. So then Nicholas stops at a store and gets some gum.
Well, he tries to, because I guess he chews gum all the time. Yeah. But the slogan it's a gas station mini mart. And the slogan is eat here, get gas.
Yeah.
Which as kids, when we would travel, we'd drive to Buffalo. And there was a place along the way that said, eat here, get gas. And we thought that was hilarious. I'm sure my mom was like, oh, great. Here we go. Here it's, giggling in the back for 10 minutes about it. But he got smoking gum. And I don't know if that's like Nicorette or if it actually smoked.
I thought it was like some kind of CBD thing because it had like 4% of something, and I didn't know if that was 4%, or I guess it could have been nicotine.
I thought maybe it was Nicorette or something.
Could be,
because they can't use brand names. Although there is some product placement in here.
There is.
There's a lot of Pepsi products.
He does mention a Coca-Cola though, Santa too.
True, but every time they open the refrigerator, there's Pepsi in it, and there's a Pepsi machine, and maybe he just liked Pepsi. I don't know. The one thing I want to just mention that I thought was kind of funny is right before Santa kills the guy with the menorah, he holds up the David star and reflects it in Santa's face, his necklace that he's wearing, almost like a vampire, to try to ward him off. Like, I'm not Christian. It didn't work, but I thought it was funny.
So then he hears on the police scanner that something happened at the deli. So he runs over there, runs in and finds Mr. Green hanging from the menorah. Then with his last words, Mr. Green tells Nicholas that there is a Santa Claus.
Santa is real.
Cops arrive. They take Nicholas down to the station for questioning along with some Orthodox Jews. Isn't that what they are, Orthodox Jews?
Yeah, but the cop calls them Amish people. But Nick is standing right there in the deli when the police arrive. He gets there before the police somehow. So it does look suspicious.
Yeah. But the Jews told the police that they saw someone leave the store in a Santa suit.
Yes.
So then we cut to the station. Nicholas tries to tell the cops that Santa Claus is real. Of course, the captain doesn't believe Nicholas. And then as Nicholas is leaving, we see the cops
putting pins in a map where the killings have happened, and it seems to form the shape of a Christmas tree.
Yes.
And
And
they're
he
starting
does
to
try
come
to
up with
warn the captain, but the captain says, oh, because he says, my grandfather says, oh, your grandfather, your crazy grandfather. So again, nobody's going to believe him because of the grandfather. But they do let him go. And yeah, as the cops are eating donuts, they're looking at the Christmas tree map of killings.
And we do get a little bit of a geometry lesson here, too.
Yes, we do.
So then we see Mary picking up Nicholas at the station, I guess.
He uses his one phone call to call her.
Then Santa arrives at the police station and tases the captain and kills
in
the
a,
other
in a
policemen.
sensitive area.
Yes.
And
Kills the
kills the
other
rest
ones.
of them.
We
Yeah.
don't see him kill him, but we see the aftermath.
Yes.
Then Mary appears to get pulled over by the cops. But it's not Karen, it's Santa.
It was a cool image of him walking towards them. I think it was in the rearview mirror because I think he's a big dude.
He is a big dude.
And by now his sleeves are ripped off. You can see all his muscles and he's just walking towards. I thought that's a scary shot.
So then Nicholas tells Mary to floor it, to get out of there. So Santa jumps on
He's running after
the truck.
He's running full speed and he catches him.
And Mary tells Nicholas to grab the gun under the seat.
Because, of course, there's a gun under the seat because her dad has
shotgun.
a million guns. Yeah.
The over-under shotgun, I believe. And so it's probably used for skeet shooting. But anyway, Mary tries to tell Nicholas how to load the shotgun because Nicholas doesn't know what he's doing.
He has no idea.
But the shells are like in the glove box or something, or the ashtray. I don't know. So then Nicholas does manage to load it, and then he shoots Santa. He falls off the truck and calls for his hell deer.
Yeah. So Mary's driving like a maniac. She's weaving to try to get him to fall off. She stops starting, and but he is balancing pretty well. But when he gets shot, he falls off the end of the truck and they keep going, but he doesn't look injured.
Nope. Then we see Nicholas and Mary arrive at Nicholas's house. They run to the bunker. Grandpa wants to know if Santa followed them. And then we come up with this theory that once it turns midnight at the North Pole, the Christmas will be over and Santa will lose his powers until the next year.
Which brings in the clock that the boy got for Christmas.
Yep.
So it's useful.
Because they say the North Pole is on Greenwich time, right?
Yes.
So then we see carolers arrive at the door and Mary tries to warn them to run away. But too late, Santa arrives and kills the carolers one by one. Mary and Nicholas run to the bunker.
Yeah, one of the ladies it's a little gruesome, but that's what you pay for.
Santa breaks down the door of the house, and down the bunker, Grandpa asks Nicholas for the can of Tenactin. He opens the can. It's one of those fake cans with the bottoms that screw off and you can hide stuff in it.
Tough acting, Tenactin.
Yeah. He opens the can and pulls out some keys. I guess they're to the garage or something.
Or to the snowmobiles. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, they're pull starting the snowmobiles. Does it need a key?
That's true. That's true.
I don't know.
But Grandpa has a special hat he puts on. And at this point, they only need to make it another 2.5 hours.
Santa breaks down the door of the bunker. Grandpa, Nicholas, and Mary escape through a secret passage.
That was pretty cool passage, I thought.
Through a furnace or something.
I think it's a water heater.
So then they end up in the garage where there are a couple of snowmobiles. Santa finds the Book of Claws and he sees Grandpa outside on the closed circuit TV in the bunker.
Yes, that Grandpa has set up all around the house.
And Mary has a problem getting the snowmobile started. Santa goes out, Grandpa confronts him.
And you can tell they know each other.
It seems that way.
Yeah, they're insulting each other. Oh, put on some weight. You gave up your powers. So apparently Grandpa had some powers that he gave up for a woman. And Santa's heavier than he used to be.
So then Santa's hell deer arrives and runs over Grandpa.
Yes, and Santa says Grandpa got run over by a reindeer. They mix in song lyrics like that throughout.
Then Mary jumps on the back of Nicholas's snowmobile and they leave.
There's not a lot of snow around. There's enough, but you can see a lot of grass poking through.
Then Santa chases them. He's flying through the sky. They're on the snowmobile. And he begins throwing presents down at them that are like bombs, and
yes,
they
that explode.
explode.
I thought it was entertaining. They keep looking back, and the buffalo's nose, what I called a buffalo, sorry, the hell deer, his nose does turn red at one point.
Oh, does it? I didn't notice
briefly.
And then Santa tries to run over Nicholas and Mary, and Mary punches the hell deer.
Oh, that's when it turns red.
Okay. And then they escape through a skeet shooting range. I thought Santa was going to follow him in there, but he didn't. Nicholas and Mary arrive in the town. All the people are in the square, and they try to warn them to run away. Santa arrives, lights the Christmas tree on fire, and then he hits the pastor.
Knocks him out, right?
Yep. And he's in the sleigh now with him. Mary and Nicholas go to the high school. Mary manages to bust through the window.
After Nicholas couldn't.
Yep.
But I don't know why they went there.
I don't know.
It's weird.
Then Nicholas finds his grandfather's nutcracker in his book bag.
They talk about Grandpa. They have a moment about Grandpa.
Apparently it's 58 minutes till midnight at the North Pole. Santa arrives at the school. He chases Mary and Nicholas through the school, shooting a ball of fire at them. He follows them to the library, and he throws a smoke bomb at them. Santa reads A Christmas Carol. Then he throws it at Nicholas, hitting him in the head as they leave the library.
Yeah, this part I didn't really like. Just was like, meh.
Yeah, they do try to formulate a plan, like we can run defense or offense.
And they decide they're going to do offense, but then they have to do defense because he's already there.
So then they arrive at the ice rink in the high school.
Yeah.
And slip on the ice. And then Nicholas and Mary share a moment. And then just as they're about to kiss, Santa pulls in on a Zamboni, and he tries to run Nicholas and Mary over. But Grandpa arrives, and we learn that he's the angel that beat Santa earlier, and he stops the Zamboni with a curling stone that glows.
Ooh. Archangel Yulin.
Is that a real archangel? Angel?
I don't think so.
Yulin.
Like Yule, like.
Ah, got it.
So that's why I don't think so, but I did not look it up.
Apparently, Santa tracked them down from a letter Nicholas wrote him when he was a child, asking for an easy bake oven.
Basically, yes.
Grandpa challenges Santa to another curling competition. If Grandpa loses, he falls into hell. If Grandpa wins, Santa is good forever, basically. So Grandpa goes first, and his stone stops right next to the hellhole. Can't get much closer without going in. And when it's Santa's turn, he grabs Grandpa and slides him across the ice into the hole.
Yep.
Nicholas pulls the nutcracker and shoots Santa with a chestnut.
Literally, a chestnut. So Santa's like knocked out a little from that hit with the nutcracker.
Then Grandpa uses his silver wings we saw earlier he had to stop himself from falling into the hole. Mary and Nicholas pull him up. Santa escapes on the Zamboni. Grandpa throws the curling stone into the pit of hell, sealing it. So Nicholas and Mary go after Santa. Grandpa is unable to go with them. For some reason, he can't leave the rink.
Yeah, he hits a force field or something that won't let him pass.
So then they go to the skeet shooting range. Nicholas tells them, hey, there's a flying buck or something.
A bird deer, he calls it.
Bird deer, I don't know. But he whistles, and all the men at the shooting range there all pull their guns, including Nicholas, and they begin shooting at Santa. None of them hit him, though. And then just as Nicholas is about to take the shot with his high-powered rifle and scope that Mary gave him, Mary's dad comes along and shoots down Santa with a bazooka. It looks like there's hell deer guts and stuff falling everywhere.
Exactly. I thought he took the shot at that moment, but I realized after he hadn't done it.
So then they find the pastor impaled on a flagpole, dressed as Santa. The pastor is.
they think he's the killer.
Yeah, all the men from the gun club thinks he's the killer.
And they do have what I called the buffalo, but the hell deer's head on the front of their Jeep.
And Nicholas takes the book of clauses.
Yeah,
It's
he's
laying there for some reason.
There is a guy that has to use one of those things on his throat so he can speak, and he still is smoking.
Yep. So then Nicholas and Mary kissy face. And as the police carry away the body of the pastor in the background. Then we see Santa at the airport taking a flight to the North Pole. The clerk there, the ticket taker girl or whatever, says, "Oh, Mr. Satan?" And he says, "It's pronounced Shaitan."
Which is funny because she says, like the hockey player. Yeah. And I don't know if I've told you this story before. I probably have, but obviously I have relatives in Buffalo. I've said it before. And I was driving to see an aunt or uncle, I don't know, a grandparent, whatever. There's this sign outside the store with big arrow. It's lit up. And all it says is meet, what I read as meet Satan. And there's all these kids lined up around the store. And I was like, that is so bizarre. That's all it said. Meet Satan. And I talked to my brother who was already there. He goes, "Oh no, that's a hockey player. And you pronounce it
Shaitan.
Different. Shaitan. But that's not how it's spelled. And I wish it would have been when,
apparently there's like a symbol over the S.
I don't know, probably, yeah, but it was just, but they didn't have it on
a little V over the S.
But when you have one of those light up signs where you just put letters in, you don't have that little thing. And all the kids, I thought, God, I missed an opportunity to get a wonderful picture of all the kids lined up.
Miroslav Shaitan, Slovakia professional ice hockey right winger.
Meet Satan. Missed my chance.
And then we have credits. Did you watch the credits all the way through, Karen?
I did while they were playing, and I did as things were printing out.
So after the credits, then we see Santa looking at his list, and then he looks at the camera and says, "Who's next?"
See, I should have said there was sequel potential.
There is.
Because there is definitely sequel potential, and I should have said that at the beginning.
All right, Karen, how did you enjoy your glass of red wine?
Well, it's vampire wine, so I did enjoy it. Did you like your Santa-gria?
All right. I'm not a wine guy. So, it's all right. Better than just plain wine, though, I think.
I think so, too, when I've had it sangria before. I think it's less bitter.
Yes. It's got the fruit in there and sparkling cider and apple cider, whatnot. Yeah, it's not bad. All right. Anything we learned today, Karen?
We learned that there are places named Hell in Michigan. And if you're from Ohio in the Columbus area, you wouldn't be surprised by that. Who invented snow globes and how they did it by accident and why they did it. There was more. What else was there?
A little bit about Joy to the World.
Oh, yes. The Joy to the World is not a Christmas song. That's probably it.
Little Icelandic, Norse legend stuff with Santa Claus.
Yeah, I think that's kind of made up in this movie.
All right. Ready to move on to next week's film, Karen?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And what film have you chosen for us next week?
Well, I was jealous that you got to do Christmas in July, so I wanted to do it too. So okay. I chose the 2017 film, Better Watch Out.
Do you have a cocktail to go with that, Karen?
I do. It's from usinshaker.com, and it's called The Home Alone, and you're going to hate it.
Okay.
But that's not the only reason I chose it. You're going to fill a highball glass to the top with ice cubes. Place 3 cucumber wheels into a shaker and muddle. Pour in 0.5 ounce of lemon juice, 0.75 ounce of simple syrup, and 2 ounces of gin. Fill the shaker with ice cubes and shake. Strain into a highball glass. Top with ginger beer and stir gently. Garnish with 3 cucumber stripes.
Okay. Awesome.
I was looking for something with a babysitter feel to it, but I couldn't find it. There is a babysitter cocktail, but it's very complicated with a lot of ingredients I didn't want to buy. So this is as close as I got.
Okay. Awesome.
You can leave out the cucumber. It's just a gin and ginger beer.
All right. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Well, as always, I want to thank our listener. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Thank you for spending time with us. What about you, Greg? Is there anyone you need to thank?
Well,
I
Karen,
think there might be.
I'm going to thank my nephew, Sam, my nieces, Julia and Sadie, for their wonderful Christmas present and picking this gift in this movie for us.
I want to get on their Christmas list. They get good gifts. How long do I have to hang around this podcast before they start saying that Karen girl, she puts up with Uncle Greg every week. She needs a gift. Haven't hit it yet, but
Well, I might be your gift, Karen.
now see, now I can't say anything, but you're not my gift from them. They give good gifts. Haven't we been over that?
And I also want to thank the people of the great state of Iowa.
Ooh.
And of course, the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else?
Please drink responsibly and have a wonderful Christmas in July.
Yes.
Hey, it's Karen, and I'm here to talk to you about getting social with us. Did you know you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast? Or check out our website, scaryspirits.com. If you have something to say, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening. Please drink responsibly.